All right, I make it time. So if everybody can hear me, I think we'll make a start. Can you just give me a thumbs up or a chat or say hello, just to let me know that you can hear me?
You're all good.
Excellent.
Hear you
All
just
right,
fine.
okay. Perfect. Well, morning everybody, and it's afternoon for me. So if you can't tell by my accent, I am based over the pond in the UK. I am actually one of the senior solution architects over here at Scipio, which is a premium Moodle partner based in the UK. But today, I really just want to talk to you. And like I did say, I did send a message out just saying this will be a relatively short presentation. And I do feel free to obviously stay behind and chat afterwards, and we can talk and you can show some other bits and pieces of small changes that you may have done. But really, I just wanted to show you a couple of small changes that you might be able to make to some of your Moodle courses and see exactly what they are and how you can implement them yourself. So if we just have a quick look, the first kind of thing that we're going to look at is how can we break up content. So we may have a big on list of different things on our courses. We may have a big on list of resources or a big on list of activities. And to a learner, this can sometimes be a little bit daunting because there's so much on the screen at one time that they just feel like it flows from one to the other without having a natural breakup. So we can talk about a little bit about use of imagery, how we can change some of our courses by breaking that up with imagery, or we may use images for links, or we talk about, but maybe putting things in columns or anything along those lines, just to try and break up that that kind of look and feel. So if I just show you sort of an out of the box one here, so you can see here that I've just got a very simple Moodle site here with a simple course format, and I've just got some information on there, lots of little pieces of text. So you can see there that it all sort of blends into one. So there's no sort of natural break of content. It all just flows between each one. So what we can do is we can try and have a look at a slightly different way of doing this. So we might want to have a look and break things up using imagery. So you can see here, just by adding a few little images, naturally breaks up those sections. So instead of it just going from step 1, 2, 3, 4, we now have an image that associates each section, which gives it a little bit of a way of breaking those sections up. So nothing now really flows between the sections. You've now got sort of a natural break that you can incorporate. So the next one that we can have a look at as well is having a look at image links as well. So instead of just having those links, so if I go back one slide, 2 slides, you can see here that I've got to click here to view content. You can see it's just a link. So we can actually make things stand out a little bit more by using some of those, by using imagery. So we can, as you can see here, we can use images. We can say click here to view resources. Now instead of that just being a text link, we can now make them a little bit more exciting by using some images as well, or that could have been some fancy CSS or something to make those buttons look slightly different. But again, we've now given ourselves a natural breakpoint or something that we can actually make things look a little bit better. And then finally, in this kind of section here, what we can then also do is, again, the idea of using those images as well. So we can see here that you can use, I've just put a squiggle line, but again, gives it a natural break there. So again, from a learner's point of view, and you can just read those sections and you know that there's a natural break in between. And it really does just allow you to break up those different sections, allow learners to pause or maybe break at those points, and just make it look a little bit nicer than just having a big long list of text or a list of resources. The label is your best friend, so whenever you want to break anything up, use that label activity wisely. Use it to just put an image in there. Use it to put a little bit of text to break up those modules, those big long list of modules that you may have. It will just really help to ease your navigation for learners. Another kind of way of looking at things is how can we frame content. So instead of things, again, just being some text on a page, can we frame it? So can we make something stand out? Now I do this a lot with using CSS, so I use a lot of background images to break up content. I tend to block pieces of text with a nice background image. If I can't, I may change the font. I may frame things like videos and stuff to make them look and stand out a little bit more, so that it's not just feel like it's just been plonked on the page. So for example, here we're still using that same course, but what I've done now, as you can see here for the step 1, I've actually added in a background image there, which allows the section to stand out a little bit more than step 2, 3, 4. So all I'm doing there is picking an image off the internet or wherever we may use it from, adding in some padding so you can see it going around, and using a bit of a margin just so that it doesn't all squash up on that screen. But you can see now it clearly stands out a little bit more than what it did before because you've now framed it. This presentation is fully available on the course. You can download it as a PDF. So if you want to pinch any of that CSS, feel free to do so. So I do a lot of that custom CSS there. You probably just add it in a class or something on those lines. But you could just do this with an image itself and just add it on. That's absolutely fine. But it just gives you another idea of framing that content and making it look slightly different. Some of the other bits and pieces then, so we spoke a little bit about how can we frame videos. So this is another kind of thing I do a lot, is around, so the video is actually just a small piece in the middle. So it's just this piece here, and the actual laptop image, the laptop outside is actually an image. So all I've done there, again, a little bit of CSS there, you can see that I've got a couple of things in there. So I've got one about the embedded video, making sure that it's going to position correctly, and then I've created like an iframe for that image to go in as well. So again, it's just another way of making those pages look a little bit different, as opposed to just plonking a video on the page. You've now framed it nicely inside a laptop, so it looks a little bit nicer on the page. And finally, in this section here is talking a little bit about fonts as well. So again, you could use any fonts you want. You can go to Google Fonts and add in that additional HTML for those fonts to be able to create those pages, create those sections look a little bit different. So here, all I've done is change the headings. So even just by changing the heading fonts, naturally makes the site look a little bit different. So it really does make things pop out of the screen. So you can see here, this particular font is completely different to the body of the font. So the headings actually stand out a little bit more. So that does actually lead me nicely on to headings. So headings is another good section to look at. So headings really is really are your best friend. You can actually make them stand out, make things break up on those screens as well. And you can see here, so again, if we go back to a nice out of the box one, you can see that the headings sort of just blend in with the text. There's nothing there that's making them stand out. They're a slightly bigger size, but that's about it. So you could make them bold, you could change the color, or we can do some more little subtle things that we can do to sort of make them stand out. So here's one idea. So one idea is to, as you can see here, I've changed the color. So the color is now a blue or something like that. But then you can also see here that I've added in a little bit of a border left there as well. So on that left-hand side there, you can see that we've added in a solid left-hand border, which then again naturally breaks up those pages and actually allows the learner to see exactly which section is which. You could take that one step further as well. So you could add in a solid color, for example, behind them. You can see here that I've actually added a little bit of a slant on them as well. So I tend to do that a lot just to make things look a little bit skewish so that it does stand out. So you can see here that the heading is actually on a bit of a slant. And again, all this custom CSS, you can just plonk this in and it'll work quite nicely, but feel free to have a play and think of different ideas as well. But it's just a case of naturally making them look a little bit different from what they are out of the box. Another idea, I don't particularly like this one, but I wanted to just give you an idea of the slight differences that you can do here. So this one here is just basically having an outline appear and making the text really, really big. But again, it just gives you another idea of what you can do in terms of making those headers stand out. We've actually made them center aligned as well, so they're subtly different to the left-hand side ones that you saw before. And then maybe one last one in terms of fonts. And again here, I quite like this one because it does really make them stand out, and it's got a little bit more than just having a colored background. So we've actually added a dotted line inside there, so it makes it look like it is like a stamp or something that's on the screen. That just makes it look a little bit different than what it did before. And all these kind of things are just, like I said before, we're just making small changes. We're not changing the whole site here. We're just making little subtle changes, maybe to some CSS or adding imagery, just to break up those pages, make things look subtly different, can make a real big impact to some of your learners. So what else? So we can have a look at some other small changes. So there may be some things like rounding some corners off. You know, if your brand guides and stuff suggest that your elements should have a bit of a border radius on them, then feel free to add them in. You know, that's all available for you to do. It just naturally makes things look subtly different than what it did before. And again, like I said before, I often have a tendency to slant things. So certainly something that I want to be more prominent on the page. You can see here, I've given it a slightly different background color and I've transformed it there as well. So I've just made it 4 degrees to the right and just naturally sends your eye to it because it looks a little bit different than what it did before. And then other things that I tend to do as well, so you'll see this little motion one, things like this. So I tend to have a bit of a class that says box, and when you hover over that box, it just, again, my little favorite tool there about transform, you can see that it's there again. Again, it just gives a little bit of motion or a bit of animation to something. This probably isn't the best example because you probably wouldn't do it on a whole section like this, but it just gives you the idea of what you can and can't do. So there are all kinds of different things that you can play about with. Like I said, all the CSS is available in the PDF. But the last thing I just want to sort of mention is, you know, do make things simple. So don't go crazy like some of the ideas I showed you there. Don't do them all at once. You know, pick which ones are relevant to you. Make things a bit more branded. Remove anything that the user doesn't need to see, and you can really make small changes. Can really make those big differences. So like I said, it was going to be a very quick sort of lightning talk today, but feel free to hang about, discuss anything that I've spoken about, or even show some of your changes and small changes that you've made, or ideas and thoughts that you have as well. It's always good to share ideas and knowledge between fellow Moodlers, and we'll see where we get to.
Where do you put this HTML in Moodle?
Excellent question. So some of that HTML is in, so you've got a few different places. So the first one is if it's the CSS, then it goes in your theme settings. So if you go into your themes, you'll have a custom CSS section where you can add that kind of thing in. If you're doing anything with fonts or adding any extra bits and pieces, then you need to go to your additional HTML, which is in your theme section settings. And then in terms of any HTML to do with anything that you've seen on the screen, so things like, if I go back, so actually making these look like this kind of thing on the left hand side would be in your custom CSS section. And then inside here, you probably wouldn't need to do anything because it would just pick that up naturally. But if you needed to change anything, you can just do it using a label tool or inside a book or something along those lines. Would be a couple of different places to do, and I can drop some of that into the course a bit later as well, so you can have a bit of a guide to see how I've created some of these in more of a step-by-step as opposed to a snapshot idea. Great. Any more questions or any feedback or anything that anybody else wants to share of what they've been doing?
Yeah, I'm looking for themes. I can't find themes. What section is it under?
It will depend. It'll be under appearance.
Appearance. Okay. Ah, there we go.
And then it'll be under there somewhere.
Okay.
But I'll drop some things in the course, Paul, a bit later for you, so you can see step by step how I've added some of this, so you can try it out yourself.
Okay. Cool.
All right, quiet bunch. I know it's the morning slot. A morning slot for you guys. It's nearly it's nearly home time for me. So, any last minute questions or anything? If not, we can quite happily leave it there.
Have you been following the Moodle 4.0 development?
Yes, certainly have.
So I guess anything that really stands, I mean, I've tried to follow off and on, but any big things that stand out that you think, well, I mean, or is it just really everyone's going to have to redo all their They're minor CSS changes.
Well, I think 4.0 is certainly going to give us a whole new user interface. So I certainly think if you do a lot of custom CSS changes, you will probably need to review them quite extensively just to make sure that they're still going to flow. But certainly the whole layout and the design of 4.0 is going to be completely different to what you've got in 3.10, 3.11 now. So yeah, certainly approach with caution and give it a good test before you deploy it to your live site.
Thank you.
I was interested in making our website a bit more accessible to students, just in terms of accessibility. Do you have any ideas that stand out to you, like some of the first things that you would do to make it easier for people to read the web page out of the box?
Yeah, so I don't really have anything extensive around accessibility. Obviously, you've got your usual things where you can obviously add your alt tags and bits and pieces. Anything to do with screen readers should be absolutely fine because it can read. Even if you did a lot of the changes like this that you can see on here, it wouldn't matter to a screen reader because it would just read it as a heading tag or a body tag. There wouldn't you could go crazy with the colors and stuff. But in terms of your accessibility, it's not really my area of expertise in terms of building things from scratch. So I probably wouldn't be the best person to give you any advice on that one, Finn.
Yeah, that note that some things could mess up the screen reader, that's a good thing to watch out for. Thank you.
No worries. All right, I won't drag it out much longer then. So feel free to put in the forums on the course if you've got any questions. Feel free to reach out directly. My details are on the screen somewhere. Well, they were. I'll drag that one across. There we go. So feel free, if you want to contact me directly, do so, or put anything in the chat. Other than that, have a good. I didn't actually see the comments, but is there anything exciting in there that I need to say? It would help if I read them. I haven't ever been told that I sound like Richard, but I suppose all us Brits sound the same, so maybe that's probably why. Let's have a look. Can you show how to do the changes in themes section? Let's see if I can bring up a site quickly to show you. Seems we've got a bit of time, why not? So typically everything's going slow when you want to show something. So while I'm loading that up, let's see if there's anything else. So yeah, so in terms of that question around, is it possible to do the changes to just one course or will it apply to all courses? So you can do both. The things that I've been showing you are predominantly site-wide. So if you made it in one, if you made it in the theme settings, it would change for them all. You can pinpoint an individual course if you want to apply that CSS to one particular course, but you would need to identify the ID number of that course and add that into the CSS as well. So it's a little bit more tricky to do it course by course, but you could certainly do that if you wanted to. So let's let me bring up this one here. So let me bring up that page and bring up a course, and then I'll share my screen again. Right, so I've just got a very This is my local copy, so do bear with me around the dodgy set of colours and bits and pieces that's on here. So in fact, let me go back a little bit and go into, so most things live under the appearance tab, and where I'd be placing all that custom CSS would be dependent on what theme you're using. So this particular one is using Fortin at the moment. So if I click into that one, and Fortin one lives under colors, and you've got this little section right at the bottom called raw CSS or raw SCSS. And we can just add some things in here. So if I actually just bring up my presentation and copy one out. So if I actually copy all of the text from this one here. So that's a H4 tag. I could do it for a H1 tag or something like that and paste that in there. So if I just go, maybe if I just do H1, H2, H3. So they're all the headings that are available in Moodle. And save that. And now if I go to my course, I don't think I may have some headings. These topic headings should be H tags. So it should render all these slightly different. There we go. So you can see now it's pulled across there. I haven't quite captured the right one because I've entered in the topics as opposed to into the sections, but you can see you can make those changes site-wide by doing that. Certainly what Mike's saying there, you know, make them as classes is the best way to do it. Absolutely that way, you know, create some classes. So for example, we could change this if I go back into the color section here, and if I actually just remove that one, and if I actually bring in let's try one of the box ones or something. In fact, let's make our own. So if I just do .box, so that's my class name, and I can create something. I might go border and add in a 1 pixel solid black border. I might give it some padding of 10 pixel, which will give us a little bit of space around things. And then I'm going to make a horrendous color background color. And if I pick a color, we can, let's use this crimson color, something like that. So we can make a class like box, and you can see we've got a border, padding, and background on it. If I actually save that there, while that's saving, if I actually create a new label or something on this screen, we should be able to see some bits and pieces there. Yeah, so certainly is just another question there around site-wide. So it is site-wide if you're adding anything in there. So you do need to be cautious. If you are thinking about doing it just on one little course that you've got, then it would apply everywhere. So just be cautious of that. So I'm just going to add a label in, something like this. Drop this down, and if I actually go into the HTML view, I can just add that class in on here. So again, you would need to educate people how to use it. But if I add that class in as box, if we now go back, you can see it's bringing in that crimson color and that black border. Hello, this is some text. If we save that, you can see it's added it to my page automatically with that color. And what's really nice is if you do it as a class, let's say you change your color scheme, I could go back here so you can see the text is looking a bit lost in there. It's black on that red color. So I could go back in here and I could change that to be color could be white, for example. And I might want to change that background color to a blue. So I could pick something like that as a different hex code there. And if I refresh this screen here, we'll be able to see eventually when everything loads, you'll be able to see the color change to white and the box itself become blue. So you can use a lot of different things in here in terms of in terms of making some site-wide changes. They're very subtle things, and certainly, you know, what Mike suggests there in using classes, you can do the same with headings. So you might have a bank of headings available to everybody within the organization, and say, right, if you use this class, it will automatically change them to pink or blue or green, make them center aligned, add a bit of a border, whatever it may be, whatever you want it to be. And then anybody can use them across the site. But certainly I would investigate that with your site administrators, have a bit of a go, see what different things you can do. But you can see just by adding some little CSS there, that box actually looks much better than just adding in a little bit of text by itself. So you can see the subtle changes or the small changes you can do can really make those big differences. All right, so I think I've answered everything so far. Anything else? No problem. And like I say, feel free to drop me a line directly or in the forums on the course page. I'm more than happy to answer any questions there as well. All right, I'll let you all have a bit of time back for your day. Thanks for obviously listening. Thanks for joining me. Hope you enjoy the rest of the conference, and I'm sure I'll speak to you somebody soon. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Ben.
No worries.